be recorded.
All right, I'd like to call to order the Village of Ashwaubenon Park and Rec Board meeting for Tuesday, July 18th, 2023. Roll call, please.
Chris Serbo,
Here.
Tracy Kluge,
Here.
Heidi Murphy,
Here.
Mark Castonia,
Here.
Donovan Miller,
Here.
Hess and Lundberg are excused.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please keep in mind our brave men and women overseas and abroad, keeping us safe and free. Action on the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda?
A second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Action on minutes from the June 20th meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes from June 20th?
I will second that.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Comments from the public must be limited to items not on the agenda, must state name and address, limited to 5 minutes. Board's role is to listen and not discuss the item. Personal issues cannot be discussed nor individuals named. Board is not able to take action at this meeting. Is there anybody that wants to make comments not on the agenda? Okay, you want to step forward up by the mic here?
Hello,
And
my name is Debbie Product. I live at 2217 Balsam Way. I'm right across, and my concern is the walking trail that connects Balsam Way to Shady Lane. I know my neighbor down the street last year has made requests to have this looked at. Nothing was ever done. I made a request this year. I sent a request to Rex. He said they'd look at it later in the year when it dried up. Well, nothing's been done. My complaint is that that trail isn't even passable anymore. What used to be a trail is now a deer path. You can't walk, maybe one person can walk on it, but if you do try to use it, it's overgrown with buckthorn also. So that it's really impassable. As you enter the park and you go around the corner, it's all buckthorn, the trail is about that wide. As you go further down into the park, it's mud. If it rains, you can't, I know in the spring, you can't walk on that trail for maybe a month until maybe a month into the spring. Whenever it rains, it turns into mud, it's impassable there too. My biggest problem is in the fall. So, I mean, it's too bad, it's a nice trail. In the fall, when it gets covered with leaves, that's when it really becomes dangerous because that trail is very uneven from not being properly leveled out. You've got a ridge on there about like maybe 1.5 inches high. Anybody that would walk on it in the leaves and such ever, you risk twisting your ankle because you can't see the unevenness of the trail. Also, when you enter that trail, it looks horrible. You've got your park sign, so people know this is a village park, and it's just covered with weeds. So I don't know if people are, so nothing's been done with the entrance to it. The trail itself is impassable. It poses a danger when it's covered up with leaves because it's very uneven walking. I've asked, the neighbors have asked, and nothing's been done about it. While I'm at it, the Arboretum is just as bad. The Arboretum one, you know how the trail goes around the whole Arboretum? The one side right here underneath the pines, that hasn't been cleaned up for years. You can't even see the trail. It's nothing but pine needles. There's trees in that Arboretum. If you ever get a good lightning storm, they'd be down because they're dead. There's dead trees in that Arboretum. Again, the trails in that section too aren't passable. I'm not as concerned about that as much as the trail connecting Balsam to Shady.
okay, thank you. All right, written communications or announcements. Do we have anything? I don't think we have anything. All right, action items. 8A, 2024 budget and project discussion. Rex.
What you have in front of you is a list of projects that are already on tap for well, some of them will start in 23, but the majority of them will get off the ground in 24. So we've got the new mini park design and construction off of Element Way, extension of the Ashwaubenon River Trail around the park, the Argonne Park Trail and boardwalk placement in the wetlands. We're still working with the Packers on that. Argonne Park Cabela's for the Phragmites removal in front of Argonne. Working with McMahon on the West Main Avenue Trail design from Ridge Road to Arts. Starting work soon, hopefully, with the public arts program and policy. And one thing that's not even on here, we just had a meeting on it this last week, is the NRDA GLRI grant that the village is getting. That's about a $3.5 million project, and that'll be Dutchman's Creek as well as Ashwaubenon Creek. So we've got a lot of big things happening this year. With that, typically we go through our corporate plan and kind of do some ranking on different projects. And quite honestly, with the load that we currently have, my recommendation is we kind of pare that down a little bit. At the last park board meeting, I mentioned a couple projects that I felt doable, or one project which was the Waterford Park Playground that was pushed from the 23 budget, hopefully into 24. We'll see what happens. And then I know Trustee Fluke had talked a little bit about the industrial park trail between Wabi and Maine, which goes along the Creekway. The asphalt there is starting to show its age. It's about 23 years old. It's starting to spall, break apart a little bit towards the creek side. And so the thought is what do we do with it? And so what's going to happen on that one in the meantime is Public Works Director Rickert and I will be walking that trail on Friday and just getting a grasp on what can be done. And initially, we've both been on it before. I mean, we both bike, and he has younger kids. He's been on it before. So our guess is that will need to potentially be milled and repaved at some point in the future, whether it be in 24 or 25, not real sure, but it needs to be dealt with because that's starting to get rough in some areas that we need to address that. So that being said, you've got your list of core projects. I've tried to update most of them. I found one or two things that still needed to be crossed off in here, but you've got your list of core projects. My recommendation based on the projects that are ready in the pipeline is that you give us the okay to submit to village board / finance committee for discussion, the Waterford Park Playground, as well as the industrial park trail. But I am here to listen to any thoughts, direction, comments that you may have based on any of the current projects and or anything that's on the core plan that you may feel strongly about.
I was pleased to see the industrial park trail on there because it is in bad shape, and hopefully it will get the assessment and take care of that, hopefully in 2024, because it is getting to the point where it's almost hazardous the way it is right now. I told Rex I'm glad that he laid out all the projects on here, and he's got a lot going on in 2024. I think it's a lot easier for us to look at it when he comes with some really good recommendations for us. And I'm glad Waterford's on there because that equipment is very old as well, and hopefully that will get done in 2024. But in regard to what Deb, I'm sorry, I forgot your last name. Ms. Product had brought up in regard to the path near Sherwood Forest Park. I did walk it this weekend from Balsam Way and talked to Rex about it a little bit earlier today.
Rough.
And
Very rough.
that trail is in really bad shape, and I can see her point. It also looks bad coming off of Balsam. There's a beautiful landscape bed there, but it hasn't been maintained. It's got probably more weeds in it than it has, plants in it. So I think that really needs to be taken care of, and it's serving that huge neighborhood. I mean, when you think of Hilltop, Balsam, all of that, they can cut through there and they can get over to Sherwood Forest Park, which has a really nice trail that we just added to last year. So I believe that the Sherwood Forest Park, Balsam Way to Shady, should be assessed and should be upgraded. Because I walked there and I told
And
Rex,
that can be done within our own budget.
Yeah. Which would be great.
It's on, and I've walked it it's on our list.
I'm sure it is, but it's obviously
But
been on the list for a
yeah,
while.
I know, we've got the maintenance building, we've got the 12, there's so many projects out there right now.
I know.
So what's gonna wind up happening is Public Works will go in there with the flail mower on the sides, and they'll take the buckthorn back. Once we get the pathway cleared back of the plants, then we'll be going in there with additional crusher dust and laying the crusher dust down to make it probably about 6 feet. Because she's right, it's a deer path in time.
Yeah.
And if I can interrupt, that is listed as part of your scenic walking trail. When you go on the village site, it's just not a path used by itself. It's listed as part of your whole trail.
So that,
It does show up on the aerial maps as well, too, so.
yep, it's part of our trail system.
Yep.
You are correct.
So then you're saying that we don't necessarily have to look at it as a capital project in 2024?
No, it's a
You would-
maintenance project that can be done within our own budget.
So you would be
It's
able,
just a matter of trying to do it before the college kids leave while we still have the staff to do it.
Okay.
As I said, it's on our list. I did talk with someone regarding it this spring. It will be done. And the beds at Balsam are not good.
No.
They're weed beds.
yeah. It's too bad someone doesn't adopt that.
We're basically going to be taking the rocks back. Because there's decorative rocks kind of going
Along
in,
the
which you
edge.
can't even see
Yep.
because of the weeds.
So it just needs to be weeded?
We're going to basically take a backhoe and just
Okay.
slice the whole thing off and.
Because like I've
start-
got time on Thursday this week and I can go weed it if, like I will adopt, I'm not even joking. I was going to talk about it afterward.
Your
Serious face. Rex.
Heidi, you're welcome to help us out. Any
Serious
help is
face.
always appreciated.
This is not a joke, Rex. This is my serious face.
I'm good with it.
I'll go, I'll go look at it this week and do some weeding.
It'll help our guys out. But-
Okay.
But if not, like I said, we plan on going in there, pulling those rocks out and literally taking the backhoe and scraping the whole thing and starting
Do you have
from
a
scratch.
timeline on that?
Hmm?
Do you have like a tentative timeline on that? So
No.
is it going to be like on
There's-
Friday? So if I
there's-
go weed on Thursday, all my work is for nothing?
There's things that, no, I don't have a timeline on it. There's things that are popping up every day that keep pushing everything back.
Okay.
So, things that are breaking.
So I'm gonna do that on Thursday. I'll go weed that, just to get it looking somewhat decent.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fair
maybe
enough,
you
thank
can
you.
save it and it doesn't have to be totally bulldozed.
Right.
Just, pull some weeds and there's some nice plants in there. There really is.
Me and my green thumb.
Yeah, but, whatever is easier for you.
Now, is the tree issue that she mentions is that part of the ash?
No, no.
Or- No,
there's-
that doesn't have to be taken out yet? No.
Typically, the trail, sure, it's on a 3-year pruning back cycle per se, so Tim, our forester, will go in there every 3 years with his crew and push things back roughly every 3 years.
Okay,
It's grown over a lot
yeah.
in this section, so.
Which it
we're gonna
will.
Use the flail mower and fully put it back.
Yeah,
So
Okay.
just FYI. But no, it does not need to be, for this agenda item, doesn't need to be included on a capital project. It's done in-house
Okay.
without any extra money.
okay.
I do like to see that Waterford is still on the agenda. I think that,
What's that?
I like to see that Waterford is still on the agenda for next year. I think that will be a nice,
Yeah.
that's a beautiful community over there, so.
Yeah, well, like any park, typically our playground equipment lasts, give or take, about 25 years before it really starts to not be cost effective, where you're replacing a lot of things. And I'm going to say Waterford is pretty close, if not right at that already.
Yeah.
So it's time.
The one question I had, reading ahead, you have a sold-out beginner pickleball program course, and then in your future, you have more pickleball courts. Now, I know that's not going to be free and shouldn't be terribly hard, but is that something that, I don't know if we're gonna go through, I know a couple of years we went through an exercise where we kind of ranked everything, if that's gonna happen again, or if that's something that, can be pushed up a little bit. I just see that pickleball is so popular right now.
Sure.
And if there's a need for more courts, is there some way that can be?
Well, we've had inquiries. We've got the bank of 6 over at Fort Howard, so that has the ability to be extended where we put 9 in. However, the Packerland pickleball players, which are using the courts quite a bit with the big group because everyone who plays pickleball regularly joins them, just because they've got a built-in system of meeting people and playing against each other and whatnot. They're using a lot of the courts over at Edison right now, but they're still at Fort Howard probably 3 or 4 days a week at least. Potentially it's hard because you don't want to take tennis courts away, and I don't know if we want to, there's room anywhere to build more sets of pickleball courts other than at Fort Howard. So potentially something to look at is like Canterbury Park. Do we turn the tennis courts at Canterbury into a little mini pickleball area for the neighborhood, which would probably also serve, Smith Park or whatever. It's closer certainly than Fort Howard. So when you're doing that, though, I mean, you typically need to redo fencing and whatnot. So it's not a matter of just putting some new lines on there.
Sure.
To make it work, and then just my own personal thoughts. I like the permanent standards that are there because then they're there.
Yep.
Otherwise, a lot of people have like a side box where they're taking portable pickleball standards if they want to play, and then they set them up themselves, and then they put them back away, and the boxes are unlocked, and people mess around with the stuff in the boxes, and you know what I mean? So if we're going to do it, I think we need to, when the time comes, make a decision. Do we want permanent courts, and where do we want more permanent courts, and where do we want?
Yeah, and that's kind of my thought on it is it's insanely popular now.
Yeah. And the thing is, I've seen people playing tennis at Canterbury, and I also see people playing tennis at Smith. And those are, so do you take one away and you make, one pickleball or 2 pickleball courts out of 1 tennis court and still have a single tennis court? Or
Are there any options for Pioneers tennis courts, like one set to be?
No, you need 7, you need a bank of 7 for a high school program.
Okay.
And so what's happening is that Pioneer has the 7 and a basketball court. So really that's out in terms of adding anything there.
Got it.
There's still some question out at Cornerstone. You've got the courts out there. However, those might be moving because the ice center, Cornerstone Ice Center, potentially is looking at expanding with a 4th sheet of ice, and that footprint would probably have to extend onto the tennis courts, in which case then they would have to move our tennis courts somewhere else if they wanted that land for a 4th sheet of ice. And we're working through that right now. That's not really common knowledge yet, and it's not really anything is announced because we're not sure what is going to happen. So we're still working through a few things, but those are the other 2 is
Yeah, and those tennis
Pioneer
courts,
and Cornerstone.
those tennis courts are in bad shape too at Cornerstone.
Cornerstones are in bad shape.
Yeah.
But we just got some crack patch just to try and, which is a project the guys have to do still. The stuff is sitting in my office, so we're going to try and patch them up for the fall tennis season because the JV team as well as Parkview uses Cornerstone.
Is that where the boys play? The boys play at Cornerstone?
The varsity plays at Pioneer.
Oh, do they? Okay.
Because they're different seasons, boys
Right.
and girls, one plays in the spring, one plays in the fall.
Okay.
So the varsity plays at Pioneer. Typically JV and Parkview plays at Cornerstone.
Got it. I can't help with patching on Thursday, I'm sorry.
Do you know when they're going to make a decision on the addition to the Cornerstone? Is that imminent, or is that going to be 2 years out? Do you have any idea? Because those
It
courts.
has to do with their fundraising. Once they reach a certain percentage of their fundraising goal, an announcement will be made.
So you don't know when?
I am not at liberty to say when
Okay,
or where they're at.
okay.
Sorry.
I agree with you, Rex, as far as the existing tennis courts, especially the one Canterbury. That gets used a lot. Every time I drive by there, most times, it's being used. And I wouldn't, as much as I'm a proponent of more pickleball courts, it would be tough to see that go away or lose part of that.
I know, I mean, they're decent courts.
And they're good courts, yeah. I think that's why it gets used a lot. Having said that, Argonne's got a lot of space.
Argonne does, it's also on, if you ever dug down at Argonne, it's in a swamp.
What about our pocket
I-
park on Element? Is there room for
I would be
pickleball there?
reticent to put any more impervious surfaces in Argonne.
Would you?
I would.
Okay.
I played in Argonne when I was a kid, and I went back there in that woods, and it's a swamp. It was filled in I'm guessing the mid 80s maybe, where the woods was actually cut down and kind of leveled.
Yeah, but even closer to the street, though. I mean, I get into that park quite a bit, and I mean, you got the soccer field there.
Soccer field was used all summer long because the field at Bill Diamond, the second field at Bill Diamond was used for a stormwater pond.
Yeah.
So when we lost that field, everything
Right.
moved over, a lot of stuff moved over to Argonne, plus Ashwaubenon Youth Soccer is the largest co-sponsor organization in the village right now,
Yeah.
where they
But
are
that's
they're
what-
well above AYB or AGSA in terms of numbers, so they were playing there a couple nights a week on that field.
But I guess that's what I'm not quite understanding is how can we have a soccer field there if it's a swamp, but just to the north
Well, when
of
I say
there?
a swamp, it's underneath. I mean,
Yeah.
it was filled in with material, it was covered with materials, and there's black dirt on top of it and
Yeah.
grass. But if you go down with an auger,
Okay,
it's a lot of decomposing material, and which doesn't bode well for any impervious surface in terms of the
Okay.
freeze-thaw cycle.
so you'd have to go down that far to create a
Yeah,
circuit? Okay,
I wouldn't,
okay,
my recommendation would not be to put any hard surface at Argonne.
yeah.
That's just me.
No, I understand.
Is there room at the Element Way, little mini park for a pickleball court? I don't know what
No,
size those are.
the park is about the size of this room.
Yeah, tiny.
I mean, you could fit a court on there, but that would be the only.
That would be the only thing.
And
Got it.
I don't think that's the direction we want to go.
Got it.
Did they go ahead with that indoor pickleball courts that they had talked about? Someone was putting in, weren't they at the Gordman's place
Well,
or
I know Green
something?
Bay Tennis Center has pickleball, I know Western Racket has pickleball, the indoor center, an Alloway on Riverside has pickleball. Salvation Army has pickleball leagues.
The
Heck,
bar.
Even the bar has 2 indoor pickleball courts. On that addition they put on. So there's a lot of indoor things happening for the pickleball players.
Are you talking about there was,
Yeah, I
somebody proposed something on, like Oneida Street?
Yeah, I remember that. I remember
GBASO
what-
Gabasso, they call it.
What was it?
GBASO Gabasso, they call it. It's that skateboard park. That's what's
Oh,
in
they
Gordon's
moved it.
right now.
Okay,
I don't know if they have pickleball in there, but that's,
no, they just have
But
skate.
I don't
Right.
I think.
they do.
I gotta
I
go
don't
check
think they
that out too.
action sports, because it's Green Bay Action Sports Organization.
Yeah.
So pickleball maybe isn't actiony enough. I don't know, I've never played.
So, I mean, it's on there, but I would, it's something to consider moving forward still, but again, my recommendation is it won't be in '24. Probably not.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, I motion to approve the court plan as it stands with the replacement of the 2 Waterford, hopefully, in 2024, and then the industrial park trail evaluation, in addition to the current projects.
A second. Can I ask a quick question too?
Yep,
Do you know what you're doing with public arts program? Do you have any, what you're thinking about for that, or has that not really been adopted yet?
We're, I don't want to say in the infancy stages on that, but what it is, Green Bay has something similar to it. Ashwaubenon being as busy as it is, the thought was to involve some of the local arts groups and help us work on a plan of what we would like to see to have more art, public art for viewing out in our community, and whether that be on buildings, whether that be on private land, whether that be on public land, whether that be different types of lighting, whether that be statues, structures, who knows what. It's a little bit of everything, and typically how a community does it is they have their local art groups and they accept proposals for different types of art once different sites are identified to potentially put it. So it's a long process to get the groundwork or the paperwork and guidelines done before we would start something like that. But it's one of our goals for the village's plan to try and get something like that off the ground. So we started, and that's, we're going to be starting it hopefully this fall in terms of doing some initial meetings and just trying to figure out how to proceed forward with it. And then next year, we'll work on it more to fine tune it and actually get a document and a set of plans on working on it.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. 8B, Park and Rec Forestry Department reports.
So on the recreation side, there's been a lot of stuff going on. We started our neighborhood nights program last week at Fort Howard Park. Tonight actually is the next one. If you want to stop by, it's over at Smith Park. Looks like the weather will be good. We've got a bounce house over there. The parkies are playing games with the kids until roughly 8:30 or so. We've got free hot dogs, lemonade, and then we'll have the movie in the park as soon as the lighting, darkness allows us to do that. And I think it's Puss in Boots this evening at Smith Park. And that's usually, Smith Park usually has a pretty decent attendance on that. Our summer concert program is going strong. Tomorrow's concert is Open Tab. I believe the Knights of Columbus are the food booth group that will be serving the food. And then, of course, next week is Daddy D, and that's Heavenly Ham and the Ashwaubenon Business Association will be coming in and doing the food for that. Tomorrow's concert is sponsored by U.S. Bank, so we thank them for their support on that summer concert program. Also tomorrow night, we're trying something new. We're trying a special event at Ashwaubenon Lake. We're using FunFlix. They have a new trailer and you probably saw it last year at the Sesquicentennial. It's a giant screen on a trailer, and it's an LED screen that you can show movies on that screen at any time during the day. You don't have to wait till darkness. It's kind of like a Lambeau Field type of thing, only tighter pixels, so it shows up really well. We'll be doing that at Ashwaubenon Lake tomorrow night, starting at 6 o'clock. Rookie basketball started. We just finished up with T-ball last week, I believe, and rookie soccer will start Thursday night. And speaking of Thursday, we have the July food truck rally. We'll have 9 trucks at the food truck rally. The band will be Unity. And at the same time, this is in 2 days, at the same time at the lake, it's a special Pirates theme event, so there'll be different games for the kids to play at the lake for that. So that's usually pretty big. We've been getting some really nice attendance at the food truck rallies. It's because people are very familiar with it now, and we do it once a month. We figure that's good. We don't want to wear out our welcome by doing them too often. but once a month seems to be working out well in terms of numbers. Aquatic program, Learn to Swim had 153 participants for the first session, 145 for session 2. Usually as the summer goes on, it goes down slightly. So lessons are going well. They're filling up. Day camp is going well. We are sold out through the whole summer. We have 60 kids. We have a waiting list of, what, Kelly? 10, 12, and those are just the ones that were willing to sign up. A lot of them, when they found out that it was sold out and the long waiting list, didn't even bother to sign up. So it's a very popular program. Day camp is going well, knock on wood. Casey is doing a really nice job as the day camp coordinator for us there. And she just got a full-time teaching job for the fall, so she just graduated from St. Norbert in the spring. So we're excited for her. But she's doing a real good job organizing that. Park work, if you saw the Ashwaubenon Park, or the pathway and the bridge, it's kind of come to a halt. There were some supply line issues because of the railings. The company that's supposed to fabricate the railings, bridge lighting is inset into the railings. The railings were never delivered to the company, so there's about 5 things that need to be done, but nothing can be done until the railings are on. So we're hoping in about 2 weeks that the railings will be done, and then they'll be able to use the crane to swing the railings out onto the bridge and actually attach them to the bridge. And then we'll be able to start to see some action again. They just paved the trail Monday? Friday? Friday, Thursday or Friday of last week.
Last week, yeah.
And so they got a little bit of fix-up to do on that, but it's good to see that the trail is paved, and then once the fix-ups are done to the trail, then they'll start the landscape. We'll be digging out some of the gravel on the sides, and then getting rid of some of those dirt piles and gravel piles and actually making it look good. We've got a lot of benches and bike racks and pump stations and things ordered. They've been ordered for a couple of months already, but like everything else, it seems like there's supply chain issues. I ordered bike racks for the front of Village Hall. I know Tracy's smiling at me. We ordered those about 4 or 5 months ago, and we still don't have them in yet. And it's just 2 simple bike racks, bike stations where you can lock your bike up. So slow going on some stuff. We're working with, I'm working with Alex Smits. If you remember, I believe Alex came to our park board meeting about 3 months ago as an Eagle Scout project. So we're ready to go. We've got the spot marked out in Waterford Park. We've got some of the logistics done, so that should be dug out. Our crew will be digging that out. I'm guessing we're waiting for the locates to be done by USI, and then we should be digging that out early next week and hopefully forming that up for the concrete pour. Just normal stuff. Forestry, Foley's Tree Service has returned for the stump grinding and restoration for the 375 trees that were removed as part of their project back in April. So they are in the village right now doing that work. Finishing that up, I should say. Tim is working on prepping, trying to get together the bid specs for the next round of ash tree removal, and that's taking a lot of time with our forestry department, who usually does other things, but because of the ash tree issue, they are literally, I don't want to say years behind, but there's like no. It's all about time and manpower right now, like we talked about before on some things, and so we're backed up. Let's just put it that way. But that being said, we're working on the bid specs so we can get those bid specs out for 2024. The ash tree removal area will probably cover from Waterford Drive southward all the way to the southern part of the village, which would be all the way down to Grant Street. So that's the next management area for the ash tree removal. Now those are the street trees, and then we do a separate contract for additional park tree removal. Trios, I believe, has our park tree removal contract. I believe they have Pioneer Park on tap this summer. We're hoping to get them in before school starts, so that doesn't become a spectacle for the kids. Because there's a lot of ash trees to be removed in Pioneer Park. And I believe they're also going to be coming into Waterford Park. And I think there's one more, although I can't remember where that is, that they're doing. So that's still on tap, hopefully this summer.
I saw this wood chip delivery. Any chance Pioneer has been looked at for fresh wood chips, or is that not an option?
We actually have some new playground. Are we talking the park or the school?
Park.
We put in a load a couple of years ago, so there's other parks that need it more.
Okay.
But that being said, we do have new playground equipment that still needs to be installed. We just got the new net climber in today.
Oh, okay.
So probably in the next 2 weeks, we'll be going out there and marking out the area to dig out. And then starting to put the playground equipment in. So with that playground equipment, we'll be bringing in at least one, probably an oversized load, about 140 yards of wood chips. And that will probably top off some of those low areas
Okay.
that I'm guessing you're concerned about, that have been dug out by the
It was
swings and
my
the tire
children.
swing.
I wasn't concerned. My children were.
So, but we're got to put the playground equipment in, then we'll be ordering wood chips for Pioneer. Other questions, thoughts, comments?
I have 3 comments I'd like to make about concerts in the park.
Okay,
Number 1, it would be nice if there were a few more trash barrels located closer to the outer perimeter of where people are sitting. Number 2, it would be nice if there were some containers for recyclable, like soda cans and bottles to be put separate from the rest of the trash. And thirdly, it would be nice if there was reserved parking for park board members.
That's what the bike racks are for.
And Mark shows up in his UTV.
I just want to say Rex was nice enough to give me a tour of the Ashwaubenon Bridge, and I hate to offer it out, but it was cool to see that bridge. It's really nice, and it'll be quite the addition to our park system when it's all done. So I'm excited to see it completed. So I would, recommend if he has time to take a tour.
yeah, I'd be happy to meet you out there and take you across it, point a few things out.
It's been fun watching it get put together, too.
Yeah, we're probably looking at a September, quite honestly, a September finish, because there's a lot of work to be done yet in Alden Station. The pathway that had been prepped prior to all the construction is pretty much tore up, so, and then the grades didn't work out the way that they were thought, so they've got to redo some of the grading, which means they have to work with the DNR on a new floodway permit to raise the trail a little bit. And so and then when that's done, then that needs to be bid out because of the size of the project again. So we're looking probably about a mid to late September finish to the trail over on that side of the creekway.
Will we do a ribbon cutting or anything for that?
I would like to do it,
I
yes.
think
And
so.
I
That's
don't know
pretty
if we're going to wait for Alden Station to be done, or if that section's just, because we can make that just gravel for the time being and still do a ribbon cutting.
Yeah, on
I know I believe it's Don and Rita Nelson Foundation that gave us that $150,000 grant for the plaza area and that side trail. We definitely want to do something for that family and the Fox Valley Community Foundation. Kind of looking for something like that as well. So we'll incorporate a couple different things into that ribbon cutting. But
I think it is, that's a project that deserves it, I think.
yeah,
Pretty
agreed,
unique and
agreed.
All right. Rex, I think I can speak for everybody up here, and we've said it before, that, you and your staff do an incredible job with our parks and forests, not just with things that are on your schedule, which you have
Well-
piles of things to do, but things like, you know, having to tackle the emerald ash borer tree situation and irrigation at the parks and things like that all of a sudden pop up that aren't on a schedule. And I know it's a juggling act, but you guys are just do a terrific job for this.
Well, the kudos go to the staff that are out there in the field. You know, I don't know if this is an appropriate time or not, I guess, since we're talking about budget. I have mentioned it to a few people in administration, but we're almost at that point right now with everything on our plate. We just can't, I mean, and tonight was a good example. Sometimes we just can't get to everything right now. And it's, I don't want to say it's making us look bad, but it makes us look bad when we can't. But we've got projects stacked up, you know, I mean, like there's no end to them. So I may be starting some type of discussion of looking for an extra maintenance worker that can help out in the forestry area as well as the park area.
Yeah.
To try and keep knocking some of this off. And I know that's always a touchy subject because you never want to be overstaffed, but we're strained right now. And we have been for the last year or two.
Yeah.
I mean, we're plugging our finger in a lot of holes in the dike, and rather than being proactive, we're being reactive when someone comes in and complains, basically, which they have the right to do and they should do. They should let us know. So we're trying to, instead of being proactive, we're having to go back and try and fix all these things, whoever, you know, and it's the squeaky wheel thing, and it shouldn't be that way. We are and have been a lean, mean, I mean, compared to some of our neighbors on all sides of us in terms of the amount of staff versus the population and stuff like that. I mean, we do a lot with not a lot of people. We rely a lot on seasonal help. We rely a lot on summer help. But that gets you so far only gets you so far when you get to the bigger projects that you have to deal with. So that's something that still needs to be discussed. Don't know if that's going to happen or not, but it needs to be discussed more as we move forward.
Yep, and I agree with you. That shouldn't all fall on your shoulders. It's part of it should fall on our village board.
And the good thing is Public Works helps us out. I mean, they help out with concrete pours, and then they help out with some of the bigger equipment, letting us use that. You know, we're trying. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. We haven't been a reactive village. We've been more proactive.
Right.
Perfect example, you know, this week with my street, April Lane is getting repaved. And believe it or not, I had a neighbor that was PO'd that it was getting repaved already.
Really?
Yeah, because they couldn't understand it. It didn't look that bad yet. And I explained to him.
Surrounding communities.
Yeah, that's what, and in the end, he agreed with that. But we've always been proactive. You know, we're on a schedule to do things, and I don't think the Park and Rec Department should be any different.
And I think it's a recurring theme with Ashwaubenon and the Titletown development and everything going on with, yes, our bedroom community is 17 to 18,000, but with an influx of 100, like with events that go on. And it's not just the Packer games, like with the concert venues and, you know, Epic Event Center and the Resch Center and all of those things and sporting events and all of that stuff. So the fact that, yes, 18,000 people live here, we have a large influx, and it's a beautiful community that I think is unique and special. So I think like some of those facets come into play when it comes to maintaining.
And you know, I get it. It's also about balancing the tax rate and with, I mean, no one wants to see their taxes go up. I mean, we've done a job. The village has done a good job managing that over the years. You know, being a full-service community and what we're able to offer to our residents, you know, and still keeping the tax rate where it's at compared to similar
Neighbors.
You know, I think we've been doing real well on that. But that's always the challenge is, you know, when you're adding people is how's that going to affect the rate?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I was the Parks Director, we had pretty much the same maintenance staff. And I was 1993 I came here. So it hasn't been added to me. We added the forester, we added another programmer, an aquatics person, but we really haven't added any maintenance staff. And when you think about it, we've added parks. I mean, Sand Acres was added, there's more trails that have been added, so it's just that much more for us, for the staff to upkeep. So, you know, the village has always been really proud that we're a lean, mean fighting machine, but there's some negatives about that too. We don't want to burn out our staff, and we want to be able to keep up with things and not feel like we're not able to do the work that needs to get done, so. Yeah, so definitely ask for one.
I wonder if there's a way, and you would tip that off, that we could get, you know, Friends of Ashwaubenon Parks or something to help.
I mean,
With
they adopt
budget,
beds and
Yep.
stuff like
Right.
that.
Yeah, we
Not
we
just the
actually,
beds.
we have a great, thank goodness, we've got a great cadre of volunteers. So all of the flower beds in our park system are typically adopted by volunteers that are willing to take care of that. So they do, there's two different ones. One of them is the adopt a garden, where they adopt a flower bed, basically, and then, so we give them, we drop off the materials, the plants, the flowers, whatever it is, and then that volunteer or that business or whatever, and Tim has a list of those, and they do a great job. And then we work with a lot of community organizations that do volunteer cleanup days. The Ashwaubenon River Trail, you know, over by the Brown County Recycling Center, where the trash that gets dumped there goes right down that roadway onto the trail. And it's usually a mess down there all the time. So there's always groups down there picking up. And then Ashwaubenon usually has about 2 or 3 cleanup days a year by volunteer groups. One of them is with our scouting groups, the Ashwaubenon Cleanup Day. Where I think we probably had another 25 or 30 people volunteering for that, and doing some work down by the riverfront, so that when the trail opens up, that, you know, it looks good when people are all down there, and when Art Street is down there. So and then we've got what's called Pick a Park, you know, and that's similar to the garden, but that's volunteers that come in. I think the requirement is 2 to 3 times a year, where they just pick up any little bits of garbage and trash that, you know, they make it look better, basically, on top of what the staff is able to do. So we've got a fairly good list of those groups, organizations, and individuals. And those are like almost, I want to say, like a 3-year commitment, because we actually put the volunteers' names on a sign and put that sign up on one of the posts on the park, just as like a little bit of a recognition, so the neighborhood knows, hey, that's my neighbor who's helping do that. So
Do you know if,
Heidi, maybe
I'll need an
maybe you
etch-
can be doing the one on Balsam all the time, and we can
Etching
put
of
a
my
little
face
sign up
on
there.
my sign, please, okay? An etching of my face. Only like which side is better.
do you know if the Balsam Way landscape bed is listed as a site to adopt?
No, because it really wasn't
Like a
Garden bed?
park sign, and
Yeah,
yeah, similar to what
it was
the
just
other
more
ones
of an
were.
entryway.
And maybe that's worth putting out there. I mean, it's great that Heidi's
Mine
gonna
now,
take it
guys,
over.
I got it.
But put it out there,
Committed for
maybe
3
someone will
years.
step up. Maybe Deb knows some people in the neighborhood that'll step up and say, hey, I'll
Potentially.
adopt it.
Oh, I wanted to add to the Smith Park playground. I got some feedback from some people I know. They're liking it over there.
Good.
And they're pretty glad it opened up.
That was the longest build I've ever done in my park and rec career. It started like, they didn't deliver that stuff until, what, mid to late October, I think?
I talked with my friends who use it, and they like it.
So then, so we started it then. I mean, we were putting that stuff up in like 20 or 25 degree weather. It was interesting. And then it just got too cold, and then the spring happened, and it got too wet. And then.
I'm sure supply chain in there too.
The last thing that needed to be done with that was a giant spiral slide, and the playground company wanted a rep there to do that, because they said they've never had, it's just kind of tricky to do that. There's a certain way to do it, and they said they've tried to explain it to multiple communities, and they put it in wrong, which meant then they had to come back and take it out and redo it. So we waited for them, they gave us finally a date, and it was just, I think it was right before the 4th of July that it opened up, so. And then the rubberized surfacing as well had to be scheduled. So I'm glad, thank you for the feedback on that. I'm glad people are liking it.
I'm not gonna tell you if they don't like it.
What's that?
I'm not gonna tell you if they don't like it,
Oh,
because I'm not gonna listen if they don't like it. I'll be like, nah.
Is the new garage, the new maintenance garage at Ashwaubenon satisfactory?
we haven't officially started, well, they just tore the old one down. It's
Yeah.
gone. So
It's
they
totally
tore it down
different now.
within the last week. We moved all of our stuff over that we wanted to keep into that building. It's all willy-nilly inside though, because it's going to take a while to organize it.
Winter project.
We need to order racking for the inside for some equipment and so forth. But WPS just left there this afternoon. I was talking to the crew. They just energized it, so now we have power to the building. So the electric garage doors will now be able to work. And then it looks like they've got everything graded and packed and fine graded. So my guess is they'll be doing the asphalt entryway probably within the next week or so.
It looks so much better.
Yeah.
Well, when you saw them side by side, you're like, oh my gosh. You know?
That thing was really bad, but no,
You realize how it looked when you saw them side by side.
once the new structure went up, you knew how dated and out of service the old one was. Like,
Yep.
yeah.
I don't
I'm
know what
glad that
happened to all the varmints that were living in there, but found a new hole to go into.
Yeah, I was to say, a lot of displaced animals.
All right, any final thoughts or comments, questions?
Nope. Anything for next meeting? Anybody want to discuss? Nothing?
I don't think so.
All right. We'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Move to adjourn.
All right. We got a motion to adjourn and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.
Thanks, everyone.
This conference is no longer being